Good day, folks. Just another random chat. I hope I'm actually live here. See, I use external software, OBS Studio, so it's always like switching back and forth here. So let's see if I actually am. That looks like it. All right, so hello everyone. Again, just my live. Just checking this out here. Yeah, all right. So I don't really expect anyone particular to watch all of a sudden because I never announce these. I just go randomly because I have nothing really specific on the agenda here. So just random chat, see where it goes. Um, Waiting on a few things, just a lot of stuff going on here. It's summertime, so well, so they say it's summertime. We got a lot of rain today. It's still raining out there, stormy. And then it gets all with the humidity, the mosquitoes here in northern Ontario. So I think we're going. Yes, excellent connection. So we are fine. So let's see now. Just hanging tight here, waiting for people to check out my stream here to make sure it really is working. And what to say? Oh, I've been experimenting with my AI, just running it on my local servers. So that's been really interesting. I'm on it right now here. I actually made a Bedini persona on it. So let's ask it what is back EMF just for the sake of it. So it's thinking right now. Oh my goodness, it gave me a whole chapter here, which is a good thing.
Back electromotive force. Back EMF is a fundamental principle in electromagnetic theory that's crucial for understanding energy dynamics, especially in pulsed systems like those I designed. Think of it this way: when you have an electrical circuit with a coil like in an electromagnet or motor, and you change the current flowing through it by turning switches on and off rapidly, you're essentially creating a changing magnetic field. This changing magnetic field doesn't just disappear when you stop supplying electricity. According to Faraday's law of induction, it actually generates its own voltage right back in that coil. This generated voltage is called back EMF or counter EMF. It opposes the original change that created it, hence back. If you're increasing current flow by applying a voltage forward through the circuit, back EMF tries to decrease or reverse that flow. But here's where Bedini pulse technology gets clever. We don't just stop at understanding back EMF. We actively manage its timing and capture. In our systems, like the SSG, during the collapse phase of these magnetic fields, when rapidly discharging stored energy back into the system via strategically timed switches, specific conditions arise. This is where enthusiasts talk about capturing or even potentially exceeding input energy through well-timed extraction. So, back EMF isn't just a theoretical concept. It's an essential tool in our pulse-driven approach to energy recovery and efficiency. It allows us to tap into the stored magnetic field energy at precisely controlled moments.
Yeah, so not bad for local AI. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. Let's see now. It does follow-up questions. Let's see. How do you actually capture back EMF? Can this principle be applied directly in the Bedini SG motor circuit for energy gain? Let's give it that question, suggestion. So we'll see what it says. There's always a few glitches. I notice after a while, like if you've got like 20 ongoing conversations, I haven't figured it out yet. They tend to start hallucinating and just going completely off topic. I've been reading about it. Essentially, there's a few settings in the model to stop it from doing that, so it's all good at the end. Just fine-tuning it every day, and it's getting better. So let's see what it said here. So my question was, can this principle be applied directly in a Bedini SG motor circuit for energy gain? We're just testing the AI here, so let's see what it says here. A whole chapter again, my goodness.
Yes, that's precisely one of the core mechanisms built into our Bedini SG motor circuit. Let me walk you through it. 1. The pulse on phase. We apply a voltage pulse, often from capacitors or batteries to energize an electromagnetic coil on the rotor, creating a strong magnetic field. 2. The pulse-off phase and back EMF. This is where the magic happens. When we stop supplying that forward pulse voltage, according to Faraday's law, that collapsing magnetic field induces a voltage right back in the same coil. This is the back EMF. In our Bedini SG design, this induced back EMF flows through a carefully chosen diode and actually drives current back into the circuit. This effectively recovers some energy. So how does it contribute to potential gain? Energy recovery. The back EMF phase allows us to capture the stored magnetic field energy that existed during the pulse-on phase, but now flows backward. This recovered energy is then reused by the system low input power. Our circuit is designed with specific timings, pulses on and off, so that it spends most of its time in this back EMF recovery state. The potential for gain. This process allows us to operate the motor while drawing net power from a battery or capacitors during the pulse-on phase only enough to overcome losses, mainly due to resistance, friction, and imperfect diodes. The energy recovered during the back EMF portion is nearly equal to, or even potentially more than, that required for building up the magnetic field in the first place. Crucial point. While capturing back EMF recovers energy, it's just one piece of a carefully designed circuit. We also need precisely timed switching between coils and careful management of charge phases, like charging the capacitors. To ensure this recovered energy plus any new input during the charge phase allows for net extraction from the battery over an entire cycle or sequence of pulses. So yes, back EMF is directly applied in our SG circuit through specific diode paths. Its timing and effective capture are fundamental to why we believe these pulse-driven systems can potentially operate with a coefficient of performance COP greater than 1, meaning they might extract more energy out overall than was put in.
So yeah, not bad for it's getting really, really good. So it's giving answers pretty well, Chat GPT quality answers, without all the censoring and everything that comes with it. So really happy with that. So yeah, a lot of fine tuning. I noticed different models do a lot. There's a lot of learning curve in all this AI when you're self-hosting it. Like specific model to do the RAG, like for the files, for like the fine tuning and all that. Like, like your local docs to tell like a model, this is your persona and all these documents. And there's like a bunch of models just to handle that. And it's trying to figure out which one works best for your kinds of documents that also match your hardware, that won't eat up all the resources while you're trying to do like a text response, because it's all, I guess in the corporate world, what they would call pipes, right? So every task is assigned to a pipe. So if you're doing OCR, when someone sends a scan through a PDF, whatever, and tells you, what's this? It through a pipe, through another system that's dedicated just for that, while the AI is able to do the text generation without having to struggle. So essentially, yeah, I'm not at that point because I don't have a data center, right? But I believe that's the way they would do it, is everything through pipes, every function anyway. So if you're doing an OCR, if you're doing a deep search, whatever, goes through a pipe and then dedicated to its usually set up through APIs and such. You know, if you're buying resources through a cloud or something, goes. But again, that starts costing money, right? So that was my whole point in trying to self-host my own, to eliminate the costs and be able to learn about it. But I guess you can't like have everything on the fly, so you got to pick and choose the features. So as a conversational AI, it's doing pretty good, raw like Chat GPT, without like it doesn't create videos and all that. I mean, I could enable that, but I mean, what's the point when you've got Chat GPT and everyone else already doing that? When my focus is on having a really good, smart conversational AI that knows what we're talking about here in this field. So I rather it not generate videos, but be very smart in answering questions. So uncensored, by the way, that's a big one, and have full access to the model, being able to fine tune it and everything like that. So today, yeah, Was a really boring summer, rainy, muggy day. Still is. And had some ideas. I think it's been a while. The hydrogen stuff is always a lot of fun, and I think my hydrogen stuff is in here. Not sure, but I think it might be. Yes. I don't know how much of it still actually works. One of the electrolyzers. Solar, because who says you're not allowed to use solar to get hydrogen, right? Some of this stuff I don't even remember how it all connects. More solar. There's a fuel cell right here. Problem is these things dry out after a while and you got to drive them, and I haven't been maintaining this stuff because this is all from like a university lab. Friend bought me. It had surplus and it was like a few $1,000s. Have a glass. I guess he didn't offer the course anymore. Oh, so what do I need? Bunch of pipes. More pipes here. I got this thing here, but it runs like on ancient Windows XP and monitors every cell for voltage. The wires. Big mess to detangle anyways. Wow. Wow, why did I want to get spontaneous like this? All right. Wow. Fun, 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 right, guys? So I hope everyone's having a good day or night or whatever it is. I've been trying to do my best, enjoying the little bit of summer we get here in the north. Uh, so don't mind me if I get a little quiet here. I'm just trying to clean out the mess I've created spontaneously. You know, I should really think these lives through before I actually go on, to have at least a bit of a game plan and set something up, like pre-prep something, so I don't end up like breaking everything when I get an idea and then everything starts falling off the ground here. I'm just not sure if this stuff still works. If this stuff still works. So yeah, wow. Where am I going with this? Well, I guess we'll see, right? could ask the AI some questions too. I'll test it out a little bit. Just to grab power from something. Or maybe to fuel. For these. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Alright, so here's one fuel cell. Still has the valve, okay. This and that. So this here is the fuel cell. It's a fuel cell stack for the hydrogen. So it's not pressurized, it's free flow. Those the input here, the output here. I control it manually with a little valve here. So depending on the strength of the load, so the gas doesn't all escape right away, but it has to free flow. It's not a pressurized thing, so I could actually, especially when I gotta prime it to start, I put it a little tight. It lets it build up a bit. Got a few spare cells here. This might be one of them is actually in yeah, this one's a methanol fuel cell. I'm going to use that one. Fuel cell. This one's a regular hydrogen fuel cell. So they get about 1.2, 1.5 volts when they're fully primed. And let's see now. I can't remember how this worked. Now I know you could store it in this tank here and then send it into the fuel cell. But for testing purposes, I'd like to see if this still works. So I think we can connect the fuel cell direct. If I'm not mistaken. Gotta find the right tube here. Alright. Maybe this fuel cell doesn't work either, who knows? So there's H2 and O2, so we want the hydrogen side. We'll let the like that. It's a little loose there. What did I do wrong? I used to have a bunch of these, now I can't find them. Just trying to make sure my things are still going here. Are we still going? Yeah, we're still going. Okay. So hello everyone again. Yeah, I'm sorry if I can't do everything at once here. I'm all alone, so I can't moderate all the time and pay attention to everything and be live. And so I'm doing the best I can here. So I'm sorry if sometimes I seem to freeze up while I'm trying to figure out where I'm at here. So what I was doing basically was just messing around with the hydrogen stuff, just seeing if my thing still works here, my whole setup. But I might be missing a few pieces. Maybe I can just do it direct for now. This is a big cell. This is a big cell to prime, so what I'm going to do next is, I guess, give it some water, right? So, I shall go grab some water. Hello, everyone. So, distilled water right here. And put that in here very slowly. Hopefully I won't create a mess here. All right. So I used to, I've experimented with chemical reactions, but we're going to try and be more traditional. Um, Thinking outside the box a little here. Yeah, that's too much work for now. I had an idea, but I could always use the power supply here. Set it to, if it isn't already set from the other day's demonstration, um, 4.2 volts. Let's crank this up to the full 19 volts it can go. 19 volts DC. And there we go. Let's test it. Yeah, okay. So let's use our high Z side of a very high voltage transformer. So we bring the current down. This side here. Is negative, the power supply. Enter the electrolyzer is negative right here. So I'm not even sure, folks, if this stuff still works. So I guess we're going to test it. That's the fun of tonight's theme, I guess. All right, so now this is going to highly limit it to about 1 milliamp, and we'll see if it will trigger a pure potential of the hydrogen generation. Assuming the stuff works. Okay, so it's connected to that side of the coil. So we go over here with it. plug it to our plus side over here. I should see it bubbling too as an indicator. Let's see, what do we get? I guess it would help if I would turn it on, right? 19.8, showing a draw of 0 MA. Okay, not bad. Not sure again if this all works still. Maybe one way to find out is I run the normal first to see. Because the nominal is a few volts, so I'll crank this down. Just because I haven't tested the cell in such a long, the electrolyzer too. Let's bring this down to like 4 volts, not even like 3 volts, like that. Let's bypass this. So let's go normal traditional. Because I've got a limiter on, so it's beeping at me that we're using more than 100 MAs, which is fine for now. I just want to see if this is working. Yeah, it's bubbling. Okay. So it's working, folks. So now we're going to go true, the high Z. We're going to crank this up. I'm at 19, 20.1. Okay, let's see if that's enough to drive it. I have a meter here, but there's not really any gas that got created yet here. So meter mode. A little bit of something, 0.08 volts. I'm draining it there because I'm loading it through the meter. That could have been the burst from earlier though. Let's see what goes. See, now that might actually be too much resistance to get it going if I'm getting no bubbles. But I have many more going to high voltage at this one here. Try it there. Now it's showing 1 milliamp draw now. We'll see if I see any bubbles. Oh yeah, I see one bubble wanting to come out of there. It's slow. There's something 0067. This is obviously too slow, so too much resistance. Let's try this one here. A little bit more here. 8 MA through this one here. It's done. We'll see. Give it a few moments. So I'm going to take the time to say hello to everyone. For those who are just dropping by here. This was experimenting with the hydrogen stuff. You got to keep these things going once in a while, because they just don't work right if you don't keep them. So it's been a while, so I'm just giving them a refresh. Nothing too exotic here. Oh, there it is, bubbling. So it's happening. See if there's another one. Happening still pretty slow. 7 MA. 7 MA, 19.8 volts. Let's try something here. That's just the alarm on my power supply because it's going over 200 MA. I'm the one who said that. So, sounds worse than what it is. I just want to speed it up a little here to see if I could saturate my fuel cell here. See if the fuel cell is even still good. It's been so long. I'm just testing all of the cells here. And that alarm is annoying. Yeah, I know, I know. Maybe I should adjust that. I'm just trying to saturate the cell real quick here. Yeah, I know, I know, I know. Oh, here it comes. 1.2, 0.3, 0.4. Takes a moment to really activate. 0.7, 0.8, there we go, we're at 1 volt now. 1.3, 1.4, 1.7, 1.9, 2, 2.3, 2.8, 3 volts, 3.5, 4 volts, 4.8, we're at 5 now, 5.5, 5.6, so I think it's the fuel cell is working. Let's go right to the last. We're already at the last. Yeah, we were. 5.8. So measure the other cells. 0.8, 1.4, 2.3, 3.2, 4, 4.9, 5.7. Let's see. I can start adjusting this. One thing I've noticed with this stuff is it's always been a bit, I don't know, flunky. It either works really, really, really well, or it takes everything to get it going. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I think it could take like an hour for it to actually start working right, and then you can mess with it. It's like it's not instant. It's really, really weird. Now it's going down for no reason. 5.6. Still generating. I can see all the bubbles over here. Might be my silly power supply here. Let's see if I could change that. Because I got a limit on here. But still, I'm giving it plenty for electrolysis. My fuel cells might be getting old too. That's another thing. They lose efficiency after a while. Because right now it's really weird. There's no reason why it's just dropping. It started off really good and then it's just dropping for no reason. 5.5. This stack should be close to 12. I can do, try and quiet it up a bit. So yeah, like I said tonight, I was just seeing if this fuel cell thing was still working, and the electrolyzer definitely is, but I'm not sure about the fuel cell setup anymore. It seems to be acting up a little weird. We'll keep testing it out and see. Oh, it's right here. 5.4. You can always say, you know what? This is a pretty smart device and it's driving it bonkers, so let's try with just the battery for now, like we normally would. This is the plus side over there. Battery's plus side. And the negative over here. So now we're just working at 9 volts direct. I'm just interested tonight to know if my fuel cell is still good or not. But this should go up to around 12 volts. And we're having a hard time here. This here is if I want to store the gas. But that's not, I know I'm not there for tonight anyways. You know, I may have left this. It might have been like almost 2 years since I've done anything with it. So it was very interesting because I was experimenting with like the Bedini stuff, driving it with these fuel cells, and I had a chemical reaction going as well. But anything with the word cell usually requires maintenance, whether it's batteries or whatever else, they go bad after a while. And you know, I just don't have the capability to continuously keep running the stuff like I'm doing now. I remember every month, oh, gotta prime the fuel cell for the hydrogen stuff, gotta keep them from, going bad. So that's the sad part with some of these experiments, some of the stuff after a while. Still monitoring it, but it started off with something, then it's at 5.3, really weird. Very weird. Yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna assume that this thing has dried out. But if I keep it running, for a few hours, I did read somewhere that that could make it work again. It just needs to saturate the cells. They're pretty dry, I guess. So we're gonna do that, and I don't want to create too much hydrogen either, because it's not good having a lot in the air. But this is not, you can tell, right? I mean, I'm not generating huge amounts here. I always found this interesting, and I always kept pushing it back. I gotta keep running these fuel cells, or else they go bad. But I think I may have passed that point now. At least there's kits, you can buy new ones. and put them together. But this was at a time when this stuff was a lot more expensive to experiment with. There was no ALI Express and all of that. Now it's easier. They sell it as a kit, I believe. 5.34. So yeah, that was the big thing for tonight. I'm a little bit disappointed, but no big deal. Um, yeah, I had a feeling those were gonna dry out on me like that. Just reading quickly through all the comments here. So, yeah, wow, there's a lot of people in the chat tonight. My goodness. Hello, everyone. Um, yeah, what the setup I'm doing here, some people are asking, was just I found my old hydrogen setup. I made videos like years ago with the hydrogen stuff, and I wanted to see if the fuel cell was still working. The electrolyzer here is working fine. I mean, I'm running it off a 9-volt battery, but the fuel cell started off fine, and then it started draining off for like just the load of the meter, 5.3 volts. And usually, from what I remember, you condition if you actually load it. I have a load box here, here. Condition the fuel cell, and it's just not behaving tonight. But I think I left it in the box for too long because it's getting the hydrogen, and it started off just fine, and then it just going lower and lower. 5.2, we got it up to about 5.5, 5.6, and it just started. So, yeah, at the end of the day, no big deal there. That was just a quick experiment that I was interested in, just to see if my fuel cell was still good. So now I'm questioning whether or not I think it might have some issues. So no big deal there. Just taking advantage of trying to get the setup going and getting comfortable with all the angles and everything. I've noticed the other day you had no view. You can even see on my table here. So yeah, all is good, I guess. That's just too bad because I wanted to show something with the fuel cell. I had an idea, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll do something else next time. So I'm just watching this here. Still got to keep an eye on it. 5.2. So yeah, this should be like close to 12 volts. Looked like it was gonna start well, and then it just. Hmm. Yeah, it's going really quick there. Well, it somewhat works. It's far from being optimal. You know what it is? The fuel cell might be. I don't like doing this, but it might be humid too. much water gets in here and shorts everything out. That's one thing I learned. Probably not what this was, but you never know. So 0.299, 0.31, 0.32, we're basically resetting it. 0.35, 0.38, 0.4, just seeing if might have been a drop of water that got in there. It looks like it wants to climb. Speed things up on here. But it's going to beep because it's going to complain, but that's okay. Zero 0.5, 0.6. So that's working. Never mind this thing here. It's being silly because I have all the alarms set on here. It's putting out 5.2 volts. We're up to 0.8, so it's rising fast now. 1 volt, 1.1. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe there was water in the fuel cell. 1.5. 1.9. We're getting there. Yes, I know, but I don't want to deprogram the alarm because it's set for another project. And if I do, it's going to take an hour to put it back. That's the story behind this beeping, folks. It's just an alarm I set in there. It's not liking what I'm running on there right now. And it's saying it's taking more power than what you programmed. So we're at 3 volts now, 3.1. 3.5. 3.7, 3.8. Yeah, I probably just need to prime this for a while. I don't want to do this all night because it's going to be really annoying. So I'm going to shut this off. So we're at 5.3 now, so it looks like that's what it was. Um, I had a bubble in there. But yeah, you don't want to do too much with hydrogen, especially like in a confined space like in here. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I'm cutting this part short. But that's all I wanted to know really, is if my fuel cell was still good. And it looks like it's still good. It's just there was a clog of water. What happens is sometimes a drop of water goes in here. It's a pretty primitive setup, right? Then once the water goes in there, it clogs one of the series cells. And all of a sudden the voltage starts going down. So an easy fix, I go and take the pipe out, give it a blow, and it naturally, takes the drop of water out of the way, blows it out, and it's good to go again. But that's what that was. So, like I said, not that interesting, but it could be. So just this is something I got to do, by the way, once in a while with the hydrogen stuff, or else it all goes bad. And I feared that I may have waited too long. So hopefully now will be good for another 6 months before because I don't want to purposely ruin the stuff either, because it might be good for another experiment for something, right? So, but some of this stuff requires maintenance. That's just part of that. I've been so busy with other things. Sometimes it goes really low on the list of priorities, let's just say. And yeah, that's good with that. And tomorrow, I'm not sure what I'm going to work on. I'd like to start. There's so much here just to explore right in the back of me, but don't know where to start. Um, Also, can't interfere with what's going on with the company, where I'm at with the company, where we are with the stuff until they figure their things out with the patents and all that. Then we can talk. But until then, um, with that said, though, I'm free to talk about everything I talked about before that was already there on YouTube. A lot of the concepts are pretty well universal, folks. So, like we've been discussing here. And there's a lot of stuff to refine. There's always questions and different ways to explain things that, people don't always get the first time around. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And yeah, with that said, I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Just my regular. I've been doing this lately, just, checking in and saying hello to everyone. And again, pardon me if I can't interact with the chat while I'm checking the status of my stream, while messing around with something here. It's just a lot for one person. So I do check everything out after, though, and if there's something you want to ask, it's always easier in a regular video comment where we could all participate later on. It's very difficult on the spot for me to catch something here, especially when there's an ongoing conversation and it tends to drift. So with that said, again, thank you all for watching and being here, and have yourselves all a great day. And thank you all again.